Okay, everyone, welcome to the Offsite Dirt Network. And today we're going to look at the integration between smart home technology with our passive homes, high performance homes. How does it all come together? Because we have our building, we've got the fabric right, we've got everything airtight. But what is the technology that we need to put into these buildings to control them? What is the thing that's going to maintain it and actually turn it into a full system? Because that's so important. That once we've got one part, nothing works without the second part. If you've got your air barriers, it doesn't work without the heat recovery, the ventilation in the building. You can't have one without the other. You can't have a high performance building or window if you don't seal around the window. You're only as good as a component that you're next to or something in that building. You will always rely on something else. There's no one trick pony. There's no component that's superior to anyone else. We're all part of a group. Just like the Offsite Dirt Network, we are part of a group. And without all of us, we wouldn't function together. Mark, over to you.
I love that opening. And if you don't quite get what he says, you could just press rewind and listen to Adam again. You could watch all five of us as we go through, and then you could press rewind again. Uh, so much of the smart building modelers, people that plan this stuff, dial it into the square foot and the square inch and the cubic volume, and there's a cat and a dog and a lady and a man and three kids, and they're breathing, and all this is dialed in. And guess what? The building doesn't care. The building does not care about that design. And most cases, it gets sold and it gets put into another blast of what have you, more animals, more kids, less kids. And then something happens. The lights go out, right? There are variables that come in. So this to me, the smart building is the one that has as much features that don't involve the electric and mechanical world, that are truly protecting the structure and the material choices of that structure as much as it can. That's why that word passive is not fully understood. But if you're standing on the beach in the middle of the afternoon on a really sunny day, you understand that no matter which way you turn, that sun is hitting you and you're beginning to perspire. Your body's taking care of that cooling. But if you had just sat under the umbrella or in the shade while it's the same temperature, you're feeling completely different. So the conditioning that happens there is so important. Our building is shielding us. Maybe it's that coat theory. And I love that aspect. So the smart is there most of the time. And when it's not there, how long do we have where that building is still taking care of us, whether it's coming from the factory or one we're trying to salvage and reuse for years and years to come? Audrey, what do you say on top of this?
I feel like I need an umbrella because I'm feeling a little hot. Thank you. I do think that that is really such a great example. I'm going to spin it a little bit differently. And in the way that I see building is I look at it from a technology standpoint, one in several ways. Technology of how it's designed, how are the architects, how are the engineers, how are the people looking at the product that they're building, how are they using technology to be able to pull apart every single building system to make sure that they're working simultaneously and possibly high performance, right? How are they measuring that? I think the other tool that I really would like to mention, especially in the modular building arena, since we're building new homes and we have these amazing wall systems, the other thing that I'd like us to start thinking about is the technology to integrate that could be a really small investment that could help us live better. For example, I love the idea of having USB chargers in the wall system so that you can plug in your wall. We have like 30 to 40 units of different technologies that we use. So wouldn't it be nice to be able to buy a home and have these devices in lighting or in USB or chargers, or actually having our lights be able to dim, or having our lights on before we go out and using it on our phone and having that application. So when I think about smart homes, I'm thinking about the technology that can allow me to live the lifestyle that I already have and to enhance it. So I look at it from that standpoint. We've done lots of interviews. There's lots of great products out there. On the Offsite Dirt Network, you can look up technology, look up smart home, look up lighting. All of those things are vehicles to help us live better and to truly enhance our life from where we are right now. Technology is constantly moving. There are products out there that can help us, but gosh, a couple of $100 and the modular builder can actually influence the way that people choose to use their technology. And we are a technology driven society. Everything that we utilize is on a computer or is on our phone. So I would certainly love to see that integration. And then also, how does that perform? Being able to use that technology with an architect or an engineer, meeting the standards for high performance build, and how are we constructing that house and measuring it? So that's kind of how I see the use of technology infiltrating into the high performance. So Joe, what's your take on it?
Well, when I think smart homes, I'm thinking control systems. Obviously, it started out years ago where we had a thermostat controlling our heat and our AC, right? Very, very simple, smart control. Prior to that, you had to stoke the fire or whatever, go walk over to your air conditioner and turn the knob. But even that air conditioner had, you know, a thermostatic setting. At some point, it would be satisfied and turn itself off, and then get another demand to turn itself back on. So, you know, we've gotten fancier with our heating cooling systems. We've now integrated ventilation systems into the house. I'm not a big fan of set it and forget it ventilation, you know, where we say we've done some calculations and said this is how much fresh air exchange we need in the house. Fine, it's a decent average, but I can tell you right now, sometimes the air is clean and sometimes the air it gets all funky with, you know, more people in there and different projects. And so having a demand controlled ventilation system is no different than a demand controlled conditioning system, right? And even the conditioning systems, you know, traditionally those are sensible controls. You know, when the temperature goes up or down, the system turns on and off. But what about the humidity, right? How about, you know, sensible you know, automatic controls for that latent energy. You know, we have too much humidity. We need to pull it out. We don't have enough humidity. We need to add some, right? So, you know, sensible temperature control, humidity controls, and our fresh air, you know, ventilation system controls, right? When the air goes bad, we just want to flush it out. I don't want to trickle it out. I want to flush it out, right? So we want to flush out the bad air. And then when the air quality is good, the system can take a break, right? Those automated systems are great for the on and off. What they also need to have is maintenance alerts. You know, this system can't work properly if you don't clean filth out of it, right? And filters get dirty, right? And so you know, some homeowners are, you know, very conscientious, maybe leaning into the OCD, you know, range of things, but they're going to take care of stuff, right? Unfortunately, they're the minority. Most people just, you know, they're set it and forget it. You know, they know how to unlock doors and, you know, flush toilets and flip on light switches, and that's about it. I mean, I've had homeowners, when I ask them, like, hey, where's your furnace? And they look at me sideways. I'm like, where's your heater? And then they point to the thermostat on the wall. I'm like, oh, good gosh. So they barely know that the equipment exists. But what they do know, if they know anything, they know where the control is. So they can turn it on or off, right? Or they can adjust it, right? So that's kind of the very simple components of a smart home. Then you can get into lighting and all kinds of other different aspects, power management. You know, if you've got solar, or battery systems, you need to know what's being generated, what you have on hand, what's getting fed back to the grid, what you can expect to be credited or paid for, right? So none of that happens without controls and monitoring. And as a homeowner, it very quickly becomes overwhelming. So being able, as the builder, you want to, as much as possible, be able to communicate and hand off those controls and systems to the new homeowner. And then, as Mark, you know, kind of alluded to, then the occupancy changes. People move out, people move in. How do they pick up the ball? right? They're going to call a home inspector. How's a home inspector going to know what's going on in that house, right? So we want to be able to put a system together in such a way that it does work kind of intuitively, and there is some handoff of information to the next homeowner. So, Sean, where do you see the smart home going?
Man, I love this discussion because each one of you have brought up some amazing points, and it really kind of alludes to my passion which is resilient prefab passive houses. And so when you think of how smart is attached to a home, really kind of talks a little bit of like where we've evolved with our homes. I think of how I kind of use my rental where on a hot day you got to wake up and you have to manage the blinds or window opening. And the smart really comes into it is, am I being smart and putting on my reminders and making sure I'm operating the house the right way to ensure that my family and I enjoy that comfort. We all love a certain type of temperature. I'm in Celsius, so 21 degrees is what I like, maybe 22 or 24 for my wife, depending on where we're at. But typically, we have those ranges of what we want the comfort level to be in our homes. And that's how we're applying technology, innovation, or smart. And so you could go all the way in where your home is pretty much robotic. It's got lots of technology, all that innovation, exterior blinds coming down based on where the sun's rotating or depending on the cloud and managing it all. And Joe, you talk about too, again, the smart thermostat that is kind of that second stage. After we're operating our building and making it, we then put in, the thermostat to then manage it. And so now our homes are getting smarter where we've got solar panels and making sure we're managing it all. So again, overall, I think the smart home really comes down to everyone's individual resiliency. And again, too, is that building may change. And so how do we ensure that smart technology can continue as we're evolving our homes? And so, yeah, resiliency is the key when I think about smart homes. And the best part about this whole thing about smart homes is at Offsite Dirt Network, we have an amazing group of contributors that are here to provide you with information to ensure that your buildings can be as smart in a whole bunch of different ways, because all these contributors are smart and we're here to help you out with your particular building. So stay connected to the Offsite Dirt Network. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on the Offsite Dirt Network.